Welcome to How to Help Your Child in Science. The information that you're going to hear is related to the AQA Triple Science and the AQA Trilogy Combined Science Double Award GCSEs.
Welcome to Help Your Child in Science. My name is Miss Hurrell, Director of Science at Shenley Brook End School. This presentation is all about how to help your child with the AQA Triple Science and AQA Trilogy Combined Sciences, which are also called the Double Award. Welcome to this Help Your Child in Science presentation. My name's Miss Hurrell, Director of Science at Shenley Brook End School. This presentation is all about how to help your child with AQA Triple Science and AQA Trilogy Combined Science Double Award.
A key way of helping students become more successful in their exams is to actually get them to be more comfortable with the scientific vocabulary. So we encourage people to discuss issues in science. So ask your child to explain about an issue that's going on in the news. Get them to think about the science behind it. If they can talk about the issues, if they can use correct language and explain it to you, and maybe explaining it in a simplified way, then it helps them to actually arrange their understanding and relate it across to you. If they can teach it, they will have a much better grasp of the content. So you can think of things like designer babies, genetically modified crops, how do we feed the world? Particularly at the moment, you could be talking about the coronavirus and whether we need to look at vaccinations and are vaccinations a good thing? Also, currently, we need to think about climate change, so we need to look at eco-friendly options for travel, for living, for shopping. We need to look at issues around plastics and their sustainability. So there's so many things that you can actually find to talk about. And if they can get used to hearing the words, speaking the words out, then it will enable them to actually put forward a much better answer in the exam. Look through newspapers, online textbooks to get an idea for some areas of inspiration.
A key way of helping students become more successful in developing their science knowledge and understanding and ultimately achieve greater exam success is to get them to feel more comfortable with the language of science and use scientific terminology more competently. We encourage you to discuss issues in science, so ask your child to explain about an issue going on in the news, get them to think about the science behind it. If they can talk about the issues, if they can use correct terminology when explaining it to you, and maybe explain it in a simplified way, then it helps them to process the information and develop their understanding. If they can teach it, they will have a much better grasp of the content. Ideas that you can discuss could include genetically modified crops and how we're going to feed the world. At the moment, you could talk about the coronavirus or other viruses and the development of vaccinations and herd immunity. You could also discuss climate change and the need for sustainable transport, for greener living solutions, and the use of plastics and finding sustainable alternatives, and the impact of pollution on our seas and planet. There are so many topics to discuss, as obviously science is everyday life. If the students get used to hearing the words and vocalising their thoughts and arguments, they can develop much better answers in an exam situation. You can find inspiration from the news and social media or by flicking through their revision guide or textbook. Tasmai is a personalised online revision programme that we subscribe to. It is designed to assist and develop recall of knowledge. It is specifically tailored to each individual student and assesses sections of the specification and moves areas of weakness into consolidated knowledge. Tasmai uses vast banks of multiple choice questions for each topic and sets students a daily requirement of questions to complete. We set Tasmai as one of the weekly science homeworks, and students are required to complete their daily goal for 5 out of the 7 days each week. Students had access to Tasmai during lockdown, so many will be familiar with the format. Tasmai is also an essential tool for teachers to use to identify areas of strength and weakness and tailor revision accordingly. Please see the separate Tasmai presentation for further information. We provide all our students with free access to the online textbook version of the books we use in school via the Collins Connect website. Worksheets and videos can also be accessed through this platform. Further information and resources can be found on Moodle and in their class team on Microsoft Teams. We encourage all our students to purchase a revision guide. We recommend the CGP revision guides. You can also get workbooks and mobile revision apps. We have these available from school through parent mail. The workbooks also allow students to look at questions and to formulate answers which are essential for exam practice, as just looking through a revision guide is not going to help them improve. They need to be able to look at questions and think about how they're going to answer. The mobile app has lots of quick recall quizzes that are really useful in the run-up to the exams. BBC Bitesize has been updated and is now relevant to specific exam boards. Please ensure you look at the AQA resources for either combined or separate sciences. These are revision notes, quizzes, videos and interactive resources. A positive to come out of lockdown has been the development of Oak Academy. These have been prepared by teachers and cover the vast content requirements. There are videos, worksheets and revision materials all specifically designed to engage students with online learning. Having good scientific literacy is absolutely vital in order to help students be able to explain answers fully to gain maximum marks in an exam situation. We encourage the use of keywords. In textbooks and revision guides, you will always see keywords highlighted in bold. Students need to understand what these words actually mean. They need to look at the definition and be able to talk about them in the correct context, so they know what the word is related to. This will help in answering all types of exam questions. For many students, the 6-mark question is their nemesis, and these often scare the students. When they've done mock exams, we often find the 6-mark questions are left unanswered, or they only have a couple of points down, and obviously to be awarded 6 marks you need a significant number of points forming a logical, concise response to the question. These can make the difference between one grade and the next, so it is absolutely essential that students do have a go at the 6-mark questions. The questions themselves are normally quite wordy, so there is an awful lot of information to read. That information often includes diagrams, data, required practical information, or the way that science is used in a real-life context. There are always clues within that section of a question. All of the AQA exam papers have the same format, so when they see a 6-mark question, they will get used to what they look like and what you have to put down, so there should be no nasty surprises. We practice these questions in class and spend revision time specifically looking at these questions. What is the key point, what is the context, and what detail is needed in order to gain maximum marks. With the 6-mark questions, going back to the first point about talking science is really essential and links in with this idea of the 6-mark question and extended response. If students are able to discuss, then they're able to develop a wider viewpoint. They can think about what points they need to get across or explain what a word actually means or what a particular principle is. They can then add further detail. What is involved, what equipment is used, what observations will be made, what are the outcomes and inferences, and how does this relate back to scientific theory. We also need to ensure students are comfortable with exam command words. What is it they're actually being asked to do? Past paper practice again is vital. The students need to be able to walk into the exam room and be happy that they know what the exam paper looks like. They need to be comfortable with the format and need to know how it is worded and get used to the language of the exam board. You can find past papers on the AQA website and on Moodle. Most papers are legacy as the current specification is only 3 years old and we didn't have any papers from 2020. As well as going through a past paper, it is also important to look at the mark scheme, not just to see what they got right or wrong, but to understand where the marks are awarded and how the answers need to be worded. What are the key words needed and how is the answer structured? A lot of students, when they see a 3-mark question, tend to write far too much for those 3 marks. So by looking at the mark scheme, they can get used to seeing exactly what points are required, and this will help the students to develop this idea of concise answers. Students can bring past papers in to show their teachers, to share success and to ask for guidance and clarification. It is good to do an analysis of a paper once it is completed. Go back through and see where they've received a high number of marks and where they've received very few marks, because it is those areas that need to be the focus of revision. Having this analysis at the end helps progress. It's no good completing a paper and saying, great, I got this score. They actually then need to go, okay, I didn't get that question. Was it because I didn't understand the question, or did I misread the question? Or is it that they don't understand that topic? There may have been another reason as well, from just a silly error to a misconception. And of course, these all need to be addressed. Revision is a really personal process, and each student will develop their own way of being successful with their revision, from mind maps to personalised learning checklists and RAG rating. Revision takes many different forms. Not all students respond well to reading for revision, so encourage them to use podcasts or videos that are specific to the exam board or the GCSE level. Please encourage your son or daughter to use Tasmai, as we have had some fantastic success doing this to strengthen students' knowledge and recall. If they engage with Tasmai now, by the time they get to their exams, they would have done so much revision, and it stops this need for last-minute cramming. Little and often is the best approach to build up confidence going into science exams. Science has an awful lot of content that students have to retain, recall, and then be able to understand, interpret, and apply their knowledge. If you have any further questions about the revision process or science in general, please contact your child's science teacher in the first instance. If you would like further clarification or have other questions, please contact me at school. Thank you for listening.